Good evening, hello and welcome to ET Now Startup, the first and only daily show that's dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Nantara Rai. I'll be with you the next 30 minutes and we have a power-packed show lined up for you. So let's get straight down to it and we'll begin with the weekly funding meter. It's Mondays, it's a good time to do that check, and we certainly did see some big deals in the week gone by. We saw $276 million being raised by startups. A major news was of SoftBank now going to invest in delivery. To discuss this, we're going to be joined by Varatharan M from Venture Intelligence on the show. Thanks so much for joining us here on ET Now and Startup Central, joining us from our Chennai studio. So let me get straight down to it. It's the third week of January and it seems like 2019 is off to a pretty good note as far as startups go. I know a couple of weeks can't make up a trend for the whole year, but the fact that it's SoftBank, which is anyway one of the biggest investors you've got in the Indian startup universe, making a comeback, despite what's happening with Flipkart and Walmart, and Danone has made its first investment in the Indian company. What do you make of all of this that's going on?
It's good to be back on the show. So, if you look at just the week, I think it's a very strong week, with 14 investments with $276 million compared to, just 10 deals worth about $200 million. So that it's been a very strong indeed. And it's also very positive to see that angel investments have, we've seen about 14 investments. And despite all fears of, angel tax and whatnot, it's good to see that as well. But, having said that, most of the angel investments are in the follow-on investments. If you look at the top deals, obviously, very exciting to see SoftBank back. And, apart from that, Turtle Mint as well, which has raised funding from Sequoia and Nexus to take on another SoftBank raised, SoftBank-backed company, Policy Bazaar. So, apart from that, it's just the flavor of the week has also been fintech. Apart from Turtle Mint, you've seen Scriptbox, there's LoanTap and Instamojo. So clearly, fintech continues to rule the roost as far as investments are concerned. So that's the action in the past week.
We've also seen other strategic investors upping the game. Is that something that is going to continue? But strategic investors also then force startups, or you can look at the other side, guide startups to change their strategies. How important is that going to be?
Clearly, this is a trend we've been following from 2018 and that continues in 2019 as well. If you just look in the past week, right, apart from Danone's investment in Epigamia, right, there were 3 other investments made by strategic investors. So one was, there was NLI, Strategic Investment Fund, which is the investment arm of Nippon Insurance, which is a Japanese firm, which invests in mutual funds, marketplace, Scriptbox. Then there was the investment by Microsoft's investment arm, which is M12. They backed a healthcare analytics firm called Innovator. This also happens to be their third investment, and they've continued to back companies primarily in the cross-border space, apart from their investments in Paxata and HelpShift. So those were some of the investments by strategic investors.
I also asked you about Danone, so let's talk a bit more about that. It's made its investment in the first Indian company. Danone, I remember I was tracking when I was a rookie journalist when I wanted to do things with Bharti and feel fresh in the grocery space. Obviously, that was more than a decade back, almost 12 years ago. Do you see this sector, this particular space being an interesting one?
Yes, indeed. One of the sectors that was very hot in 2018 as a part of our annual analysis, right, was consumer brands, especially those challenger consumer brands which were raking a lot of funding by these venture-backed firms. And it is very strong to see, Danone It's actually making a second entry into India, with an investment in Epigamia, a yogurt manufacturer, right? But Danone, as far as we're concerned, the investment came through their venture arm, which is called Danone Manifesto Ventures. They invest in the early stage segment, roughly in the C to Series B. Typically the round is about $10 million, and the sectors that they have been looking at is, globally, they've been backing mostly in the United States and European firms. This is their first Asian investment and also their first Indian investment as well. The sectors that they are actually looking at is, the healthy foods and snacks and beverages. They are also looking at, alternative protein, meat alternatives, etc., like that. So this is very positive for consumer brands in India as well.
You mentioned fintech in your first answer that we started talking about trends. Can you tell me why you think that fintech is going to be an interesting space? It's also a space where there's so much clarity that is needed, whether it's to do with Aadhaar, whether it's to do with eKYC, the demand of fintech companies to have more freedom, the fact that even digital banking is considered to be shadow banking.
Clearly, right. So even though fintech was seen as very hot in 2018, the fact points that they're still second. So e-commerce is still ruling the roost. But as far as fintech is concerned, right, the payments is played out. So you will not see any more payment investments. What is currently happening now is you've seen a lot of loan-based companies raise a lot of funding in 2018, and you will see more of those companies raise follow-on funding in 2019. And as far as they are concerned, the economics really have to work out for them, considering that they are loan companies. So you will see a lot of follow-on funding this year. But what investors have been moving far is to move more towards the wealth management. So you're seeing a lot of companies like Scriptbox or Crystal. Those are the type of investments that are happening now. And with Aadhaar happening, right, you're also seeing a lot of alternative authenticating companies which are also raising funding. So clearly, the payments and that type of sectors are more crowded, and you will see more and more investors move to other sectors in fintech.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on Startup Central. Early days, on the third week of January, but that's what the early indicators for the trend seem to be when we talk about funding and the fundometer at large. I'm going to move on to the other big story. It's a story that's been developing actually since last week. Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani at Vibrant Gujarat took on Amazon, took on all the e-commerce biggies, and spoke about Jio's plans for e-commerce and rolling out online shopping platform for 1.2 million retailers and store owners just in Gujarat. He said Jio and Reliance would launch a unique new commerce platform. Before we take that forward, here's the quick recap and a soundbite from Mukesh Ambani.
Jio is committed to create a fully digital Gujarat and make Gujarat the best digitally connected state in India. Today, Gujarat is the showcase for Jio's 4G wireless broadband network. This network already connects the entire state to the global information highway. This means connecting every home and office, every school and college, every hospital and doctor, every mandi and market. And Jio's network is fully 5G ready, which means Gujarat will continue to remain on the forefront of digital connectivity for years to come. And on the back of this world-class and most affordable digital connectivity, we can make our beloved Gujarat the #1 in nurturing startups in financial technology, agriculture technology, health technology, and other critical areas that enhance the well-being of every citizen. Jio and Reliance Retail will launch a unique new commerce platform to empower and enrich our 12 lakh small retailers and shopkeepers in Gujarat, which are part of over 3 crore community in India.
Okay, so I'm going to take this story now forward with our guest that we've got in our studio. We've got being joined by K. Ganesh, founder of Growth Story. You all know him. He's very often here on Startup Central. Hi, this is Nantara from New Delhi. I think this is a long expected lines. It was always known that Jio was ultimately going to come out with its e-commerce platform. It had been talking about it in the last couple of Reliance Industries annual reports as well. But this is, going to be perhaps, would you say it's going to be a disruptor? You've already got Flipkart, which has received this massive blow from the Indian government with a new change in definition for the marketplace. You have Paytm with all of its might in backing and foreign funding. Do you think Jio can disrupt the e-commerce space as it has done in telecom?
Yeah, I think this is expected news. The fact that they were building a large network, the monetization cannot come from the low ARPUs of telecom business. It had to come from monetizing in other manners, and e-commerce is definitely one. I think Reliance is well positioned to be able to do it with their Reliance Jio network, Reliance Retail, and the fact that they have the capital, they have the reach, they need to build on technology, and the last mile logistics which the retailers or the Kirana shops will provide. I think they are in a good position to be able to bring together technology, commerce, a nice mixture of offline and online if executed well.
No, but once again, I ask you this. You're now talking about some of the mightiest out there. You've got Walmart backing Flipkart. You've got Jeff Bezos of Amazon. You've got all of that funding of Paytm. And now you've got Mukesh Ambani and Jio e-commerce. Capital is certainly not an issue when you're talking about Indian e-commerce. But what I wanted to ask you was, can Mukesh Ambani pull off in e-commerce what he has done in telecom? Can he do something to be numero uno, to topple Amazon and Flipkart and the might that they enjoy?
See, I think the way Reliance Jio has happened, even though it was delayed, it took a long time. The way they came in and disrupted shows that they have the DNA and they have the capability to do it. Now, the biggest difference is, unlike in telecom, where it has come, it's almost like a bloodbath. It has come at a cost of other incumbent operators who need to match up with discounts and disruptive pricing. E-commerce is a different play. Each player, even Amazon in US, is a small single-digit fraction of the total retail sector. So here, I don't think it means a very serious concern for a Flipkart or Amazon. It's a large sector, and all of them can coexist. More importantly, the disruption or the market share, the success of Jio will come not by taking away market share from Flipkart or Amazon. It will come by bringing people who are purely offline into a combined mixed hybrid model. So yes, I expect Reliance will be able to make a dent, will be able to disrupt, but I don't think it is really bad news for this. It's good news for the consumers. You will find a lot more adoption of online-offline combination. Consumers will benefit, but I don't see it as a serious threat for a Amazon or a Walmart Flipkart combination.
Okay, Ganesh, hang in there with us. We're now also being joined by K. Swaran. He's joining us on the phone line. He's, of course, of indiaplaza.com. What do you make of Mukesh Ambani's announcement as far as Jio and e-commerce goes? I think Indians particularly love conspiracy theories, and ever since Vibrant Gujarat, we've been hearing about, oh, Mukesh Ambani wants to enter e-commerce, and that's why the government changed the marketplace with the recent change in definition of the marketplace. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't fully disagree with it. Okay. The reason is, as far as the Reliance's plans are concerned about taking on Amazon and Walmart, Ganesh was mentioning about the telecom thing. I think there's a key difference here, and I agree with him that it won't necessarily cause From an operational point of view, from a business point of view, it should not cause too much of a challenge for Amazon and Walmart, especially Amazon. The difference with the telecom example where Jio went and completely disrupted the likes of Airtel and Vodafone is that I think fundamentally the customer experience of Airtel and Vodafone and other players have been at best modest, and thereby it was easy for Reliance to come in. Price became a differentiating factor. They were able to offer lower prices and customers got disrupted. I think they will find the e-commerce game a little bit more different. In fact, they'll find it a lot more difficult. Amazon delivers outstanding customer experience, and I don't think that customers who are used to enjoying the great service levels of Amazon are going to shift to a Reliance simply because of better prices. I think they need to match it with equally, if not better, superior customer experience from a selection, availability, and pricing point of view. And at this point in time, I'm not sure that they'll be able to pull this off. I hope they do, but I would have my doubts. I suspect that the outcome of the e-commerce battle with Reliance will be very different than what happened in telecom. Having said this, I think the rider is, and that's why the conspiracy theory comes in. Is Reliance trying to beat Amazon and Walmart and Alibaba by delivering superior customer experience, or is Reliance hoping to be the best in India simply because the policies will make sure that others are no longer able to do business in India? I mean, if it's the latter, then I think it would be very sad. If it's the first, then I think it would be great for Reliance.
Okay, Vetiswaran, so you seem to be a big fan of Amazon, or you at least believe in their customer service. Of course, it is the world's largest online retailer, and the experience is perhaps unparalleled. What about Flipkart, backed by Walmart? Is that going to have a tougher time than, let's say, Amazon with the geo entry?
I think so, because from the time over the last 3-4 years, from the time Amazon has come in, we have consistently seen Amazon overtaking Flipkart on customer experience, and thereby, in that sense, they will be more vulnerable to Reliance from a price disruption point of view, because they're already fallen behind Amazon as far as customer experience is concerned. In that sense, they'll be more vulnerable. I think the other challenge for them is because they just made the acquisition and they're still, I guess, trying to find their feet, settle down in the new system, and they've had some people moving out, in and out, the founders have left. I think they have business challenges, and then this happens, so I guess they'll be a little bit more vulnerable. But at the end of the day, I think the winner in this battle is somebody who delivers great customer experience. And at this point in time, in the absence of anything from Reliance that we have seen so far, apart from an announcement, I would still think Walmart is fine.
Okay, so those are the views coming in from these two gentlemen as far as Jio's entry into e-commerce goes. Clearly an exciting time is ahead for all of us. Fantastic news for consumers. Maybe experience is going to get even better, and maybe the discount war will be at the advantage of only the consumers. Thank you once again for joining us here on Startup Central. I'm going to move on now. Cab aggregator Ola is now betting on fintech. This is actually not a secret. It has been looking at doing so. So this cab aggregator, which is also in food delivery, has applied for a permit to launch in NBFC. This is not the first time that Ola's thought of expanding. Remember, back in 2017, it made its major move in this direction by riding in the appointment of Nitin Gupta, the co-founder of PayU, as a new CEO of Ola Money. Moving on, Matrix Partners has closed its third fund with $300 million. The plan is to increase focus on consumer and internet sector. with an eye for solid business models. It counts the likes of Ola, Quicker, Practo, Daily Hunt as its key bets. We have Anish Bajaj joining us to decode the investment philosophy and the particular trends that are standing out. Hi Anish, thanks for joining us here on Startup Central. My first question, what will be the focus, as far as these sectors go? You recently said e-commerce and marketplaces are underinvested, fintechs has been overinvested in. That's pretty counterintuitive, but tell us why.
Look, in terms of sectors, first of all, we have to talk about our philosophy. Our philosophy tends to be founders first. I mean, as you know, we tend to over-index on investing in founders over markets. So if I had to give the overall view is we go where the founders go. But within that, we do try to form a view of sectors. We look at global trends. We try to get somewhat smart about the trends that are going on globally, such that only so that we can form a better view of the founders who are pursuing these opportunities. So as I look back, starting 2016, if you look at the Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, ShopClues kind of war that went on, and some of the issues that came with it. You look at a bunch of e-commerce companies. We have invested in LimeRoad. It's one of the few survivors of that of the e-commerce battle. I would say that there's been a little bit of a cardiac arrest in the market, and everybody just assumed that the horizontals are going to win and everybody else is going to lose. Whereas a lot has changed. You have had the data explosion, video, content, a lot of new stuff is going on, and models have taken off globally, examples like social commerce from China. So I think a lot has changed, and not enough entrepreneurship has happened in the sector, but I do think it's changing.
Anish, it's been a while since Matrix invested in a company that could eventually be scaled and to become a unicorn, that is. Ola and Quicker scale for you. What next? Where do you see the next unicorn coming from in your portfolio? If you want to name a company, nothing like it, or just tell us a sector.
Thank you for rubbing salt into the wounds, but no, absolutely, it is something we really aspire to all the time. So I believe we have three in the making. There is M-Swipe, there is Daily Hunt, and there is 5-Star in our portfolio that are about halfway or more than halfway there. And then the next set, I don't know. I know they are somewhere in the portfolio, but I don't know. Yes, last year was obviously a banner year for India in terms of creation of most of the unicorns. But as you well know, Rahul, you don't invest into a unicorn. You invest into a company that becomes a unicorn. So it just depends on the gestation cycle. So like I said, 3 more in the portfolio that we have line of sight to. And I hope and I believe that there are others in the portfolio we've already invested in that will become clearer in about a year or so.
I didn't mean to rub salt in your wound, Anish. I was just trying to figure out where the next unicorn from your portfolio could come from. And, I wanted to ask you this because, you have seen this trend in 2018. Has Matrix missed the food technology, the food tech bus? Because that's where we have seen a lot of interest come in the last couple of months. You've seen unicorns from that space. You've seen a lot of funding in that space too.
Look, if you're not in any large company that you could have been in, whether it's missed the bus or not is absolutely, as an investor, I would say it's not about missing the bus. Is it did we see the company and why did we not invest? Now, we have not generally missed sectors. So I would say, we did invest in food tech. We invested in a company that was competing directly with Swiggy and then later on Zomato, and it didn't work out. So that part is actually okay. So if you tell me that we missed a sector, we didn't see food tech coming, no. That would have made me more worried. Did we pick wrong? Yes. Is that okay in our business? Is that normal in our business? Yes.
Are we going to see more exits for investors like what we saw in the case of Flipkart, or would you say that was an outlier? Could 2019 be the year of exits? When people talk about investing in India, that's always been one sore point.
First of all all of us will remember 2018, especially 3-4 years out. When we look back, we will see, my view, my forecast is that we will look back and say 2018 was a year where things changed, potentially permanently. Now, I don't want to call it inflection, I don't want to call it all of that, because that just is, I think, a little bit overselling the case, but I think there was a permanent change. Now, most people or most of us will say that permanent change was the Flipkart transaction. I actually don't think so. See, the Flipkart transaction is obviously one of the most important. It is one of the large global transactions. But one swallow does not a summer make, right? So the question is that Flipkart transaction helped a number of investors with exits. The larger story is the consistency of exits. So there was Swiggy, which gave exits to its early investors, MyJuice, which gave exits, Paytm has been giving exits, Ola has given exits. So it's more the breadth of the exit story. As a venture capitalist, what is the biggest issue that I have had in delivering to my mandate from my investors? It's the lack of the exits. So,
Right, Avnish, I'm going to have to leave it at that. We're completely out of time. Many thanks for joining us here on Startup Central. We wish you the very best, and you name those companies that could be unicorns. Open invitation to join us when they do. With that, folks, many thanks for watching. Stay tuned. On the other side, we'll head to Davos and bring you a special interview with Geeta Gopinath.